I know I have boyishly good looks, but I have been developing for a very, very long time. My first time using JavaScript was actually back in 2004, I believe. I think it even predated Ajax. And back then, there were dark days. We didn't have developer tools. We didn't have syntax highlight. We barely had anything. It was a simple notepad and then Internet Explorer. Fast forward 20 years, I think it's actually been 20 years since I've been developing, tooling is a lot better. But still, there's two options that we really have for us. There's a lot of other options, but they don't really count. No one really uses them. TypeScript versus JavaScript. This can be somewhat of a religious issue. I think there are people on both sides that have very, very strong opinions. And honestly, both sides make really compelling points. Where we typically make the recommendation is TypeScript, if you're going for an Angular application, absolutely makes sense. Angular actually tried to create their own version of it. It was called @script, and then they abandoned it because everyone was just using TypeScript anyway. It plays very well with the inner workings of the framework. There's a lot of documentation in Angular that is written in TypeScript to where the tribal knowledge, onboarding new developers, it's so much easier if you're already using TypeScript. Now on the other side, if you're using React, it doesn't play as nicely, unfortunately, with TypeScript. There's just some existential issues that they have with it, and it's Facebook, it's Meta. They're gonna do things differently. They're gonna beat to their own drum. So if you're going with React, I would sort of caution against TypeScript, especially if you already have a large project. And even in Angular, if you already have a large code base, it's very, very difficult to pivot midway through. I mean, the Titanic doesn't move as quickly as she used to, but even back then, if you have a lot of momentum, if you have a large code base, if you have a lot of just institutional and operational knowledge, it's gonna be difficult to implement one thing or another. So the appropriate time to choose whether you're doing TypeScript or JavaScript is really at the beginning of the project. And even if it is less than 100% optimal, usually it's better to just stick with it. Now, Vue.js, it sits in that middle ground to where I haven't seen a lot of people that have a strong preference one way or the other on Vue. So mileage may vary, but I've been doing JavaScript for 20 years. JavaScript is sort of my mother tongue, so to speak. And so I will always have a fondness for it. But I will say that I do hope one day that the JavaScript community does actually build types into the language. I think if they did that, the JavaScript and the TypeScript community, we'd all be able to get together and have one massive party, and I would bring the chips and guac for it any day of the week.